occasionally I help a local AAU program with some of their younger teams. And today the coach emailed me after their games at the tournament this weekend and thanked me because he said that the team's spacing looked really good. And the last time I worked with the team, one of the things that we really concentrated on was teaching and training spacing principles and kind of how to move in relation to each other. Some of the Canada drill that I do and stuff like that I'll post below. And at first, as I got the text, I kind of laughed. I was like, yeah, like I did anything. They couldn't even understand the drill when we were doing it. And truthfully, that's kind of how I replied to the coach. And he was like, no, the spacing drills worked. I can see it in their play. And so my initial thoughts were, they didn't really understand what we were doing, and it looked terrible when we were doing it in practice. And so, there's, I can't take any credit for it. It somehow they got it, maybe in their other practices with him or something like that. But then I thought about one of the things we talk about all the time, contextual interference. And so one of the big things in terms of the motor learning literature, so random variable practice tends to lead to more mistakes in practice, but improved transfer to games. And in some sense, that may be what's happening. Is they look terrible in practice because they were learning it, and they were put in situations that forced them to do things that they were somewhat uncomfortable doing and unfamiliar with. But over time they learned it, and now they can execute it in a game. Whereas a block practice, or constant block practice, they likely would have looked better during practice. So let's say we were running a 5-on-0 offense drill. They probably would have looked better and more organized in a practice situation, but may not be able to look that good in a game situation when there's actual defense and changing environment and things of that nature. So another idea, kind of had to convince myself of it, even though it's one of the things that I talk about, making mistakes in practice and having the practice look somewhat chaotic may not look good to the parents in the stands that are watching the practice and thinking, oh my God, what's going on? But practical experience and research says that type of practice may transfer better to game situations. And so while I was in the moment and I was a little bit frustrated that they didn't understand the instructions and they weren't able to fully put things together, the point is whether or not they can put it together in a game, not whether they can do it in practice. And if those drills help them perform better in the games and they have better spacing in games, awesome. That's the point of practice.